Hi, I'm Rachel, and this is my Rosh Hashanah 5780 Reads video. I missed Friday Reads this week, but it just so happens to be my favorite holiday, the Jewish New Year, all about renewal and self-reflection, so I thought I'd fashion a video around this. To start with, I finished this book, and I read and finished this book. But I'm not going to really talk about them here because I talked about these two books and this book just yesterday in my Jewish fairy tale retellings video. So I will direct you to that video, linking it below. But general consensus is these were good, especially this one. I really love this one. Continuing with books I've already talked about to a fair degree, this is The Falconer by Dana Czapnik. I read this for my book club and we met earlier this week. I wasn't sure if they'd bring me down to earth on this one. I loved it a lot. I gave it 5 stars. But they really loved it too. So it was, I guess, a win all around. It seemed like we had a lot to talk about, and there was interesting discussion about this coming of age story, about Lucy's sort of black and white sense of right and wrong, about Percy's assholery, about the title, which people started by saying they didn't understand it, but then we reread sections about the Falconer statue in the book, and so then they liked it again. So yeah, it seems like a promising read all around. I can recommend it with people behind me this time. Next, I have about 80 pages left in Antisemitism Here and Now by Deborah Lipstadt, so I'm hoping to finish this very soon. This is a laydown of what the title says. I find it very well researched, to the point, clearing away any of the detritus. It's really nice to have a historian with, this academic background on the case. There's a more recent book on anti-Semitism by Bari Weiss. She's a lot younger. She's even younger than me. As much as I respect the idea of this public figure and her experiences, there's something so heartening about, a historian who's been around the block and has a deep academic career, really laying it down. Anti-Semitism is a rather old and kind of complicated hatred, because it relies on not saying that the people in question are stupid, saying that we're overly powerful. And it manifests on various political agendas. So it's really nice to have this because we're in a tumultuous time. Certainly throughout the world, I think, there's a lot of more hatred out there. I think it's easier for people to batten down hatches and not give each other more empathy. So it's just nice to, it's to remember what hate is with receipts, as the kids say, and to have a grounding in it. Next, this is what I actually intend to pick up for my actual Rosh Hashanah and High Holiday reads. This is PIRKEI IMAHOT, called The Wisdom of the Mothers, The Voices of Women, by a bunch of Jewish female rabbis and other ladies. It's a play on PIRKEI AVOT, The Wisdom of the Fathers, which is a older religious text. I will read from the back. PIRKEI IMAHOT is first and foremost a book about giving Jewish women a voice within our Jewish tradition. Through that voice, the reader is given an opportunity to gain new inspiration, motivation, and the clarity of purpose needed to move forward and make change in a world much in need of it. Just as PIRKEI AVOT, the rabbinic commentary written by rabbis in the 2nd century CE, provided an ethical roadmap for the community of its day, PIRKEI IMAHOT provides an ethical roadmap written by and for contemporary women today. Through the author's own unique experiences as women, mothers, leaders, and teachers in their community, and those of the many women who contributed their own words of wisdom to this book, the reader will gain wisdom on how to live morally within her community, how to participate in Tikkun Olam, often translated as the repair of the world, and how to strengthen her leadership roles to make a difference. The probing questions found throughout this book provide a further opportunity through introspection and self-examination for the reader to learn the lessons found within the covers of this thought-provoking book. Yeah, that cover copy is a bit repetitive with some words, but I'm hopeful. I like reading books like this around high holidays, sort of steeped within religious questions, but I especially like it when women of today take the reins and talk about what Judaism means within today's context and our experiences. And finally, well, I had a reading goal this month that I ultimately decided to abandon. It's been a long time, but I had hoped to do a page 112 tag started by Sean the Book Maniac, named after a French literary prize where you take whatever amount of books and judge its quality by page 112, by the writing alone, basically. It's great for literary works. I had these two books on my Goodreads TBR for a long time, and they got to the top of the list, and so my intention was to read page 112 of both and then pick one to continue with. But I wasn't impressed really with either of these. They weren't really speaking to me, so I decided to nix both of them from my TBR without reading them. After all, I have a long TBR stretching behind it, so I always have other options in the wings, and I decided instead I would like to try this book. This is an ARC of Searching for Sylvie Lee by Jean Kwok. It actually is out now. It's been out for a few months, but I got the ARC back in May at the Gaithersburg Book Festival. Politics and Prose has this awesome new practice of when you buy books at their tent at Gaithersburg Book Fest, they'll give you an ARC. And this one spoke to me before I realized that it was speaking to a lot of literary people and was on a lot of, anticipated reads lists and all of that. Not sure I've heard too much about it since, but that doesn't really bother me. The cover sheet here says that this is a poignant and suspenseful drama that untangles the complicated ties binding three women, two sisters and their mother, in one Chinese immigrant family, exploring what happens when the eldest daughter disappears and a series of family secrets emerge. So yeah, I mean, I am looking at this especially because it is a literary fiction published in 2019, and I'm hoping that it might be a contender for the Goodreads Choice Awards in a couple months. For me, I mean, that when those awards open up, I want to be able to feel good about whatever works I nominate. Of course, I haven't read the majority of literary fiction published this year, but I just wanted to be able to read at least one that I felt like I spoke to me enough that I would be able to nominate it. That being said, now I have another option. I do feel like I could nominate the FALCONER instead, but so I guess I will be comparing and contrasting these two books about which one I personally like more. If I had to guess, in terms of popular opinion, I assume that this one has a better chance of actually making a shortlist, just because it was on all of these anticipated reads lists in the past, and I'm not sure I saw this one on very many other than the Jewish Book Council's website, so that's my guess. Either way, the synopsis sounded right up my alley, so I'm hoping for a great reading experience. So that about covers it for me now, though I will be back tomorrow to do a final sci-fi September video before the month is out. I'll just squeeze it in there. And I also have a writing quarterly wrap-up video that I want to get out ASAP, though it seems like first I'll be meeting with my writing group, so that'll give me even more to talk about, I hope. Not to mention I still have some weekend left, so that still could be some time for writing, right, and getting through those goals. We'll see how it goes. Thanks so much for sticking with me, everyone. Lashana Tova to my tribe, and I'll see you next time.